This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, so good morning again, everyone. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming out to this morning's community conversations revolving around the 2020 census. We know how important this is here at the Chamber. It's important to spread the word about this, and we are lucky enough to have Chairman Boswell himself join us, who is the chairman of the Alabama Accounts Committee and also the director of ADECA. Kenneth was actually named the director of ADECA, which is the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs, by Governor Ivey in May 2017, bringing a proven background in business and successful leadership in municipal government. As ADECA director, Boswell has had the broad responsibility of guiding dozens of grant programs with the purpose of creating jobs, strengthening the state's economy, and improving the lives and welfare of its residents. Under Boswell's direction, ADECA has taken on multiple new roles, including the 2020 census and broadband initiative. Prior to his ADECA appointment, Boswell was serving his fourth term as the mayor of Enterprise, Alabama, bringing new jobs and playing a major role in helping the city recover from a deadly tornado. Prior to becoming mayor, he had a 30-year career in insurance and residential development. He was also serving on the city council when he was first appointed mayor. So Chairman Boswell, I will turn off my screen sharing and turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Will, and thank you for the invitation to be with you this morning to share something that is not only impacting Etowah County, but also the state of Alabama as a whole. But just to tell you a little bit about what we do at ADECA, and I think it goes without saying, but for those of you that are on the line, we administer millions and millions and millions of dollars to better the quality of life throughout the state of Alabama for all of its citizens. And one of the things that you may know us well for are the CDBG grant programs, which helps improve water and sewer throughout the state. But we administer a lot of things, such as the Law Enforcement Training Safety Division. You say the click it or ticket campaigns. We also do a lot of things from the standpoint of abuse shelters and things of that nature. Also, we have the Department of Energy that administers a lot of grants from the standpoint of the low income protection program that helps people with their whether it be gas bills or whether it be their electrical bills. But we do a lot of things from that perspective. Now, this particular initiative from the standpoint of census is something that Governor Ivey looked at early on as she ascended into the governor's seat, being something that is going to really impact our state. And it can have a positive impact and it could have a negative impact. And would ask that people from the standpoint of census, if you have participated in the census, then please take the time out of your day to encourage those that haven't to continue to do so. And when you think about census, you think about, well, what does it really do for our state? What does it do for me individually? What does it do for me from the perspective of my family? Well, we are counted every 10 years. It's written into the Constitution. It's required. The Constitution requires each individual throughout the nation to participate in the census. The census is nothing new. Would tell you that if you really want to get technical about it, it's biblical. You look at where Joseph and Mary was going. It wasn't to give birth to Jesus, although that is a good thing that came from the trip, but they were going back to Bethlehem to be literally counted so that they could actually distribute the wealth of taxation back throughout the nation. So that's basically what we do here as a nation, is every decade we as citizens participate in the census from the perspective of making sure that our federal tax dollars that we paid in on our paychecks, whether it be weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, is actually delivered back into the state so that it can be redistributed to the counties and municipalities. Now, you ask yourself, how does this impact me as a state? $13 billion currently is what we receive as appropriations to our dollars being reallocated back into the state of Alabama. And it goes for such things as education, healthcare, and highway infrastructure. All that being said, if you really want to get it technical about it, people a lot of times don't understand when we say education, how that does impact. We have people that are less fortunate that goes to school that needs the free to reduced lunches. It not only goes for that, but let's go back to what this agency does. The census is tied directly to the agency and its mission. I know that no municipality or no county never has enough money. And we are that source of revenue that we can come in and help with those particular projects that would be probably a long time if it were not for the grant programs that we administer here, such as dilapidated sewers, such as water systems needing to be upgraded and things of that nature. So those are some of the things that the dollars go for from the perspective of the state of Alabama and how we use those. Now, another thing that is really also at stake is our representation in Congress. Right now, we have 7 congressional members, and would tell you that let's take into consideration and account, and this is something that I talk about a lot, because when you see federal government at work, if you will, and they are our representatives in Washington, they are our voices. We want to make sure that our voices are heard as individuals, as well as a collective voice that our representatives take to Congress. And there's nothing that really shows that impact better than the CARES Act. That was just passed, whether you did or did not receive a stimulus check from the CARES Act, and I think that the majority of the citizens in the state of Alabama would have, the impact of that alone in reference to how it impacts your household on a daily basis and supplemented the income, especially for those that either would have had friends or that it would have immediately impacted them as an individual business owner to help supplement your incomes. Well, add insult to injury, you turn back around and we had those that were laid off either for a short period of time or that are continuously being laid off now. It helps supplement from the CARES Act from federal dollars to increase their actual unemployment dollars. So that is a prime example as to why and how our representation in Washington is so important. Well, let's say for an example, you say, well, where are we right now? Right now, we're just above 60% participation. We get our notifications on Monday after 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And we tell you right now, if this was the end of the census, then there's no doubt, cut and dried, we would lose a congressional seat because we participated in the 2000 census at a 72.5% rate. You do the math. At 72.5%, and we were able to hold on to all of our congressional seats at that particular point in time, and we're now just only participating at a level of just a little above 60%. Then that'll tell you that we would be guaranteed to lose that seat. Well, if we go even stay at that level, there's a good chance of losing 2 seats. So who wants to lose that voice? And you see how it's already impacted you just over the last 120 days. Think about not having that representation for the next decade. And that's something, and I know we all from time to time have our qualms and has our miseries with the way Washington actually does business, but you can't argue with not having that voice there and receiving your fair share of those benefits. Let's just look at it outside of the CARES Act. You take the 13 billion, you divide that up amongst the population of the state. It's approximately $1,600 per person throughout the state, whether it's direct or indirect. That's how it would be coming to you as citizens of Alabama. You ask yourself what you can do individually from the standpoint, and if you have not participated, as I said earlier, please encourage those. Take the fear away from those individuals that may have questions in their mind or have doubt about the federal government. It's never been easier. It's never been easier to participate in the census. It asks the simple demographic questions. How many people living in your household? Name, age, date of births, whether you own or rent your own home. And I promise you, there is no one that I'm talking to on this talk this morning that is more computer illiterate than I am. So if I can do it on a computer from a self-participation rate and do it less than 6 minutes, anyone can. But, you know, we are in the self-participation phase now, and there are 3 ways that you can participate. By now, you should have received notification in the mail with a PIN number in the corner of the card. You can either go online at my2020census.gov, type in the PIN number. If you have not received that notification, not a problem. Type in your address and it should prompt you into going in and doing the census. Now, if you're old-fashioned, or if you don't have access to a computer, or if you don't have the internet available to you, then you can go online at 844-330-2020 and request either to talk to someone in person and do the census over the telephone. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, then you can simply ask them to send you a ballot or a census form in the mail for you to be able to fill out, put a stamp on it, put it back in the mail, and say that, hey, I did my constitutional duty to actually participate in the census. Would tell you that it has been a little more difficult than what we'd anticipated. We all began this in March, right after the governor and I made the announcements from the standpoint of we were actually accelerating the census. It wasn't within 2 days, COVID actually came in and just captivated all of the market from the standpoint of TV news, and rightfully so, because people needed to have the notification of the seriousness of COVID. But y'all, we are living in a world today that we do need your participation from the standpoint of census, just simply from what I've said earlier in reference to what COVID and the impact that it's had on us as a collective from a state's perspective, but also as individuals. The big picture right now, as I told you, we are participating at a little over 60% participation. Well, to be exact, it's 60.3. We're actually trailing about 2 percentage points below the national average. Would also tell you that we are, knock on wood, that we're doing pretty well. From that perspective. There's only one southeastern state that's doing better than us, and that's Tennessee. But to get it down to how it's impacting Etowah County, y'all are at 60.4%, meaning that Gadsden itself is participating at a 58.6%. Now, we've got to do a lot better than this. That may sound good verbally, but when it comes down to it, and if this were the last day of the census, remember what I said, we would lose that congressional seat and we would also lose funding. So we need your help from the perspective of helping us continue to get the word out and making sure that we make use of the rest of the time that we have. Now, what has happened due to COVID, they have extended our participation time. Right now, we would be coming to an end of census. But because of the COVID and the impact that it's had and being able to get census workers out into the field, they have delayed or have given us until October the 31st of this year to be able to be the drop dead date. Now, that's not a reason for apathy. So I'm not advocating that, hey, we got plenty of time. No, we don't. The quicker we participate, the better it's going to be. And I'll give you an example of that. We are still in the self-participation phase, but as of August the 15th, census workers will be in the field. Now, I don't know if y'all are a lot like I am, but once I get home, and once I get this tie off my neck, and once I get into my spandex, I don't want nobody to come knocking or messing with me at my door. So what I would encourage you to do is to go ahead and encourage those that does not want company knocking on their door to please go ahead and self-participate by the means of which I had mentioned earlier. But all that being said, if come August the 15th, you will have either a doorbell ring or a knock on your door if you have not participated. These census workers have been trained from the standpoint of making sure that they have proper credentials to make sure that you know who they are, but they also have been trained in the areas of PPE. They will have that appropriate PPE on. So be rest assured that these people are here to help you. They're not here to harm you. Ask for the credentials and they will be more than happy to present those credentials to you so that you will have that comfort level and participate in the census. Key dates for you to remember would be August the 12th. Now, you say, what's happening August the 12th? We are asking industry, Chamber of Commerce, the NFIB, the Alabama chapter, Rosemary Elabash, Jamie Arthur is also participating from the standpoint of the chamber, is a drop everything and be counted day. A drop everything and be counted day. I know in my prior life as mayor that if for an example, blood drives, if my city workers wanted to participate in a blood drive, then if they would go give a pint of blood, then I would compensate them with time off for a couple of hours. I'm encouraging, or I'm asking chambers, small businesses as well as large businesses, and Will, I'm asking you to please get this out of the community, to ask industry to allow, there's like 2 million workers. Oops, I bumped something. I've got us off. I apologize. I get mechanical from time to time, but there's like 2 million workers in the state of Alabama. Now, we feel pretty comfortable that management has filled out their census, but we're asking industry to give these employees time enough at work to either have access to company computers and to encourage them to either do it on their iPhones or telephones and allow them to participate in the census. I know a lot of times if we give those incentives that from a standpoint of an employer to an employee, then that employee will do things that to get that couple of hours off or to be able to participate at work simply because they may not have the resources available to them at home, or either that the employer is just asking them to be able to do that from the perspective of making us stronger, not only as the companies, but also as a state. So would ask people to remember that. Will would ask you to please help from that perspective of making sure that we ask those large as well as small companies to participate in that as well. Would also tell you that be creative. Be creative. People like gimmicky things such as maybe creating a breakfast, maybe doing things such as just making it fun issues as far as a contest, if you will. Some other things that we'll be doing, and you'll be hearing something soon about this. Mike Presley, my communications director, as well as Big Communications, is working with ADECA. We're starting what they call a Census Bowl. We are working with the counties that are really participating at a low rate from the east to the west side of the state from the standpoint of getting our school children involved. And because our children will ask us to do things that, we'll do for them that we won't do for anyone else. I'll give you an example. I have 2 grandchildren. I'm sure I'm talking to people that's on this WebEx or seminar right now that have grandchildren, and they would agree. If a grandchild or a child asks you to do something, you'll bend into a pretzel to make sure that you do what you can. But we're going to ask our school children to help us with this, and it won't go without compensation. We'll tell you for those schools that participate at a high level, they will be compensated, and that school can be able to use these grant dollars as they wish. So we stay tuned to that. We'll be getting that information out here soon so that hopefully that if you are in that low participation rate, that you will be eligible to be able to make sure that your schools get those valuable dollars to make them better. October the 31st is the last day. Would encourage you not to say, well, I've got until October 31st. Let it be a cumbersome issue. Let it something that's a reminder that comes up to you every day. And after a while, you say, man, I'm just tired of that reminder. Let me just go on and get this thing filled out. But there is no doubt in my mind with the people that I'm talking to here today that Etowah County, the city of Gadsden, all of the cities and municipalities in and around the Etowah County area cannot do better. I know that you can do better. I encourage you to do better because it will make us stronger as a state. It will make us stronger as families, and it will make us stronger as individuals. Well, I want to thank you for the opportunity that you've given myself to address this very important issue that will have an impact for the next decade to come. It's not a do-over. Once this is over, it's over for a decade. And I've had many, many interviews, and the reporter always asks me, is there anything else that you'd like to add? And I'm telling you and your viewers now, if you don't do it for yourself, you do it for your children. If you don't do it for your children, do it for your grandchildren. And the reason why is for a decade, and over my lifetime, I've had opportunities that has been afforded to me because of good census participation that I want my grandchildren to continue to have those opportunities for their current time as well as their future. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this opportunity, and I hope that this will encourage you to encourage someone to participate, not tomorrow, not the next day, but today in the Alabama Census count. Thank you, Will.
Hey, you're absolutely welcome, Chairman Boswell. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us. And I know that you mentioned the drop everything and be counted. Actually, Mike sent me that folder this morning, and I'll be pushing that out through our various outlets and also sending out to our membership to make sure they know. And you're right, getting creative with some of the counting procedure, with some of the census taking events. It's key to being creative. We actually had a cooking count, planned here at the chamber, but that was actually scheduled for, I believe, April, and of course COVID hit. We didn't get to have that, so we actually reallocated some of our promotional materials and partnered with several other agencies. The Carver Community Revitalization Committee here in Gadsden actually had a drive-through census count. The Family Success Center here in town had a one as well. So different ways, and being creative is key to it as well. We really appreciate you joining us. Do we have any more questions from anyone on the call who wants to submit those?
I'm open. I mean, if I don't have the answer, I'll try to get the answer.
Okay.
I would also encourage you to do this as well. I know y'all have a Walmart there, and you have a pretty large flow. If maybe someone could set up a tablet or iPad and encourage people as they're coming in, you can stay 6 foot apart. You can don your mask, and you can communicate still 6 foot apart. Believe you me, I do it every day. So I mean, we're trying to capture those people that otherwise would not be connected to, and Walmart would be a great place to do that.
We had a comment just now from Max Bruce. Max actually works for a pest management agency. They cover more than just Elba County. He say he's actually working for the census.
Okay, great. Well, maybe he can take his iPad along. That's getting creative.
Well, do we have any more questions before we wrap up? We have a few folks on the call that haven't had any questions just yet. Okay, well, I don't see more questions rolling in. So, well, hang on. There's one. So Emily Carter with the Gadsden Job Corps. Is there anything predetermined we could, well, basically it's pre-designed, we could email out flyers or anything like that?
Yes, thank you for that question. We do have a toolkit. Go on our website at ADECA, or either you can go to alabamacounts.gov. I'm sorry, Alabama2020census.gov. I apologize. Alabama2020census.gov. There is a complete toolkit that's available to you. That you can literally use it from your standpoint any way you wish. So yes, we encourage that. Would also ask if there's anyone that is associated with their churches. I know that my church is still participating from the standpoint of webinars and online, but would tell you that if you could get your pastors to help get them motivated and energized in that method, that would be very helpful as well. Thank you. I appreciate that question.
Yeah, I just posted the link to the resources in there for Emily. She said all their students with the Job Corps are actually remote right now, so they're not actually on site for them to have a captive audience.
Okay, great. Well, listen, thank you, and again, you let us know what we need to do to help, and we will try to make the resources available to you.
Okay. Well, I don't see more questions there in the queue. So with that, we'll leave it. So Chairman Boswell, again, we really appreciate you taking the time to come present this morning. You guys stay safe and take care down there. It's a pleasure working with you and partnering with you guys on this, and hopefully we can do something again together soon. But you're welcome. I will stop the recording right now. Hang on one second.